We often hear about rebuilding self-worth after a major life change. But today I want to take a different approach. I want to explore the void that these significant changes can create. A space when our old identities and roles no longer exist, but new ones haven't yet taken shape. It's a phase that can feel incredibly uncomfortable and almost like a free falling without a safety net. I have experienced this void more times than I can count. And there were moments in my life when everything seemed to shift, whether I wanted to or not. And I had to grieve the end of that cycle and accept that I was changing and embrace the emptiness before I could even begin to understand what my next chapter would look like. But before I get into my story, I want to make a very important point here. Life changes can be incredibly triggering, and I have had my fair share of traumatic experiences. While I believe it's important to share our stories, I also believe in being mindful of how our stories affect others. So today I will focus on an experience that, while significant, is something that many of us can relate to: immigrating to a different country. So years ago, I made the decision to leave Brazil and start a new life in England. And on the surface, it was exciting, like an adventure, really. But beneath all that excitement, there was a deep sense of loss. Although I will always be a person born in Brazil, over time, more than 20 years now at the time of filming this video, my beliefs have changed and my personality have evolved. I have integrated into English culture to a large extent. I even married an English man. But here is the thing, a phenomenon that I have noticed, not just in myself, but in other immigrants too, is that on one hand, when I speak to people in Brazil, they comment on how I have become anglicized and how I no longer even sound like a Brazilian when I speak Portuguese, that now my Portuguese has an accent. On the other hand, in England, I'm still seen as a foreigner. No matter how long I live here, I realize I will never be fully accepted as one of them. The Brazilians no longer accepted me, and neither did the English culture. But I'm not sharing this to blame the culture I am in. This is actually a very common experience and is studied in sociology. The immigrant, in this case me, has to grieve the loss of the original identity, process the loss, and then learn to create new meaning with new experiences over time. But I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't easy. I had moments where I wobbled and I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. Yeah, not easy. I had to take my time and to understand what was happening and learn to create what I was seeking from within myself rather than expect any external validation. Now, this experience has taught me that any significant life change, even those we choose for ourselves, can create a lot of internal conflict, which is quite interesting. I have seen people who talk for years about how wonderful it's going to be when they retire, only to really feel depressed when they finally for them to retire. So it's so normal for us humans to idealize a situation, to build up expectations, and then feel a deep sense of emptiness when the reality doesn't really match what we have imagined. And sometimes these changes aren't really by choice. Maybe you have been made redundant before you were ready to enter retirement, or you're struggling to find another job in the same level with the same salary you had before. You might be forced to retrain and pivot into something else. And then suddenly you find yourself having to process the loss of your old identity, of the void of no longer being that person with that specific job title, and also the reality that that chapter of your life has ended. It's in these moments of discomfort, of sitting with that emptiness, that we can truly, really learn and evolve. I won't pretend it's easy though. But I believe that if we allow ourselves to grieve our old identities, we can gradually construct a new sense of self, one that is both resilient and adaptive. So you might ask, what does that look like in practical terms? Well, for me, means acknowledging the pain of the void, allowing myself to feel fully, and then slowly and carefully start to build something new into my life. It's not about rushing to fill the void with whatever is available, but it's about giving yourself the space to explore, to understand what you truly want from this next phase of your life. I know that this is not something that can be resolved overnight. Of course, I know that. Rebuilding a sense of self-worth and navigating the void takes time, patience, and a lot of self-compassion. But, it starts with an understanding that the void isn't something to be feared. It's a space of possibility. It's where the old makes way for the new, where we can create a life that aligns with who we have become, I would love to hear your thoughts about this. Have you ever experienced like the void of a significant change in your life? And if you did, how did you navigate? Please share your thoughts. Tell me more about in the comment sections. And as obvious as this sounds, I must say that navigating the void isn't really about having all the answers, really. It's about allowing yourself the time and the space to gradually discover them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.